Hey everybody, Gabe Jenkins back with you. We're going to talk a little bit about dimensioning in AutoCAD today. I know we've started doing it. I just want to make sure that there's no confusion about what I'm expecting you guys to be able to do when you dimension a shape. And I'm going to expect you to dimension pretty much everything you do from here on out. So hope you get used to it. Hope it turns really, really fast for you. And you have no problem with it going forward. It's pretty simple generally. And we're going to get started right now. So the first thing I want you to see is that we got this shape right here. We're going to dimension everything we need to do to dimension this thing. I'm also using the template that I've shared with you guys. So if you go up here into the layers section, you're going to see that there's already a different layer for center lines, construction lines, dimensions, hidden lines, projection lines, visible lines, etc. So right now all of this stuff is on I think it's all on the visible line. Cool. So it's all on the visible line. And when we do our dimensions, I'm going to want you to do them on a different layer. That way I can kind of turn off and turn them on anytime I want to be able to kind of just see your shape more easily, because sometimes the dimensions get in the way a little bit. And so it also helps me to see that just like visually, it's like a different color, it's a different layer, everything's easy for me to kind of just like check into. So we're going to use the dimensions layer anytime we do dimensions. So I'm going to click on here. I'm going to click on the dimensions layer and let's get started. So as we went over in class, one of the things I'm going to want you to make sure you do every single time is to give me the overall dimensions of the shape, like what is the widest and the tallest that two-dimensional shape is. Our dimensions we're going to do in this section right here. The one I want you to notice first is this little one up here, and this has got a drop-down menu. The first one that pops up is linear. That means that it'll help you to dimension the distance between any 2 points on your diagram. It's going to draw extension lines from those 2 points down or over or however you want it to do it, and then give you the number of the dimensions of the dimension, like how long it is between those 2 points. It's going to put that right in the middle. Or if the space is too small, it's going to put on the side, just like we talked about the other day. So that's linear. Aligned is going to give you a similar thing, but on a diagonal. We're not going to use that one very much. Angular is going to give you the angular measurement between two spots, between two lines. The other ones that you're going to use a lot of are going to be radius, and you're going to use that anytime there is an arc, so not a complete circle, but just a partial circle. And then diameter down here is going to give you the diameter of, anytime you have a full circle, it's going to give you the diameter. So let's start doing these, and we're going to start off with linear, sure. And we're going to start by doing the overall dimensions. So this is the highest point on here, and this is the lowest point down here. So I'm going to go ahead and click once here, click down here. Ooh, did I not start it? Let's click it one more time. Clicked, click. What I was doing there. Guess I didn't click on it well enough. So we'll just go over it one more time. Don't know what happened there. All right, so I click here, and I click here, and I would just kind of pull out my mouse out to the side. I'm not clicking anything right now. I'm just moving it out here so that it's kind of out of the way. And you can see that my number 8.00 pops up right there. I'm going to click one more time, and that sets it there. Next thing I want to do is how wide the whole thing is. So I got to pick a spot that is the widest. So this is the farthest left. Any point over here is going to be the farthest right. So if I click right here, and maybe right here, and then pull down, and click one more time, 7.25, that is my overall width of the object. Okay? So one set of dimensions should always be the overall width, the overall height. Okay? Next we want to do how big every size is, every part of it. So so let's look at how tall it is. It's 8 tall. So we have this segment here, we have this segment here, and this segment here. All three of those, when you add them together, should total up to be 8, right? Now we don't have to do all 3 dimensions. I can do 2 out of the 3 because, again, like we talked about in class, anytime you do 2 out of the 3 or 3 out of the 4, whatever it is, if you can figure out the last dimension, it's okay to not put every single dimension on there, because sometimes it ends up being really visually kind of messy. But I'm going to do this top part right here, so I'm going to click there, and I'm going to click it out to here. Okay. I'm also going to do this part right here. I'm going to click from here to here, and I'm going to line it up there. I'm going to try to line these up, right? I'm going to line this and this up. the overall dimension should always be the farthest one out, and the parts of it should be closer in. And it's nice to kind of line them up because that way it's really easy to see that they work together. So 2.5 and 1.5 both together is 4. That means that from here on down, from here to here, down is 4, but I don't have to dimension that because I can always just figure out 8 minus this 4 is going to get me 2, 4. Okay? So that's close. I would know that the overall width here is 7.25. Now, just see this real quick. If I want to move this a little bit farther down, I want to just move it. It's okay to click on it, and it lets you just adjust where you put it. I'm going to move it a little farther down just because I want a little bit more room to put a dimension from here to here. So I'm going to click one more time, and I'm going to click a linear dimension from here to here. This is 5.25. I don't have to dimension how far that point is because I know that it's 5.25 here. That's 7.25, which means that that has to be 2. Okay? So that's how we do linear dimensions. Now, we have a few more things we need to dimension in here. We need to dimension a circle, another circle, and we have a radius here for the filleted corner. So let's go ahead and do a couple of things. Let's start with the filleted corner because that's kind of just straightforward, pretty easy. So it's a radius because it's not the full circle. So I'm going to click on radius, and I click it. And I want to make it here. And I just click on the actual circle, the arc itself, drag it out here, click one more time, and it's 2. Okay, that one's done. This circle has the exact same center point as the filleted corner. So the center point here is the same as the center point here. We're going to go back and we're going to put the center points on there right now. Okay, so we have one of the layers that I set up for you is center line. And so anytime you're going to put a center line center points, I'm going to ask you to use this green layer. So I'm clicking on that. And now where do we find it? We don't find the center point thing under here under annotation. But if I click on the menu bar that says annotation or annotate up here, you can see there's different buttons here that I can press to make center marks. So if I click on center mark and just kind of highlight the circle, click, it puts the center point exactly where the center point of that circle is. You can see if I hover over here, it's going to give me the same center point. I don't need to do that. I'm just going to undo that. So I'm going to just click on the same, because I know that it shares the same center point, that's fine. Okay. I'm also going to do this one down here, click on that. Now that I've kind of center pointed all the things that I need to center point, I'm going to hit escape to get out of that tool, and I'm going to go back to my dimensioning stuff over here, which is on the home tab. And now let's do the diameter of those 2 circles. Okay. So we're not using radius, we're going to use diameter now. And it's going to give us a different type of dimension. I'm going to hover over it, and whoop, I'm in the wrong layer. I can see that I need to go back to my dimensions layer, and click diameter one more time. Click here. This one has a diameter of 3. This one has a diameter of 1.5, and we're almost done here. The only other thing that I think I need to dimension right now, you know what? Let me move this down because I told you I wanted this is the line from a radius or a diameter dimension. This line right here is called a leader line, and I always want those to be at a diagonal. I don't want them to be confused with a straight vertical or a horizontal line that's part of your visible object lines. So I'm making it so that it's at a diagonal. The reason that ends up being important is you're going to see this circle down here has a center point that's not known. And anytime you're going to dimension an object, if there's a center point, if there's a circle, you need to tell me where the center point is. And you're going to do that based on where it is compared to the closest corner of the object. And you're going to tell me how far up from the corner that center point is and how far over from the center point it is. So I'm going to go back here to linear measurements. And I'm going to click on the center point. Click. And click here, and it lets me know that that center point, I'm going to move it out a little bit so I can move this one in a little bit. It lets me know that that center point, I just randomly picked a point when I made this shape, that center point is 2.063 up from the corner, and I just need to now say how far over it is from that same corner. I'm going to pull this one down, click there one more time, hit escape to exit. And so now, here's what I've done. I've said the overall dimensions, how tall it is, how wide it is. I've done how wide each segment is, like from here to here. I told how long the size of that line. I told the size of this line and this line. I didn't do this one because I can figure it out based on simple math. And I put the center points in there for the circles, and I told you how long what the radius of that fillet is, that arc, and I told you what the size, the diameter of each circle is. And the last thing I did was to tell you where that center point is compared to the closest corner. Okay, so we're almost done now, and I have one more thing I want to share with you, which is how do you make it so that the white lines show up above all the other ones? Because right now, if you see the red line here is kind of hiding our white object visible line, and we want to make sure that that's not going to happen. So what I want you to do is this. I'm going to have you highlight just the object visible line. So I'm going to go back up to layers one more time, click the 0, which shows all the different layers, right? And I'm going to turn off both my center points, turn those off, and turn off the dimension lines as well, right? So now I'm just back to my shape, right? So now just the visible object lines. So I'm going to highlight these. I'm going to click up here, click down here. I've highlighted everything that's a visible line. And now one more thing to do. I'm going to go down to the command bar, and I'm going to type in draw order, which is going to allow me to position each one of those layers the way I want it to be. And I want my visible object layer to be on the very, very front. So if I click on front, cool, done. That's done. And now if I go back and I turn on center lines and I turn on dimension lines, everything reappears again. But now you can see that the visible line is, you know what? There's one more thing I want to do. I want to make the dimension lines go to the back because this is still a problem. All right, so I'm going to go back one more time, and I'm going to go show everything. I'm going to turn off my visible lines. I'm going to turn off my center lines. Okay. Why are my visible lines not going off? They should be going off. Okay. Let me just highlight. What am I going to do? I'm going to click on each of my dimension lines. Let's see if that allows me to do it. Click on this, all of them. Click, click, click. Now I'm going to say draw order. And I'm going to send these lines. I'm going to send these lines to the back. All right, now let's see if that fixes it. Let's hope it does. Center lines, visible lines, and we are good. Now the center lines show up, center points show up exactly like they should. The dimension lines show up exactly like they should. My visible object lines are all, I can see where they all are, and nothing is hidden. So that is it. That's how I want you to do your dimensions every time. Overall dimensions, size dimensions, make sure you do each line segment, and radius and fillet lines for the arcs, and diameter measurements for every full circle, and then give me location dimensions for things like center points of circles. Once you've done that, make sure the draw order looks good, using different layers and moving things to the front and the back, and then you're good. All right, everybody. I hope that all makes sense and that you're good to go. All right.